A Harvard student with a gift for computer programming turned billionaire power broker.
Mark, if somebody was to put the question to you about the magnitude of what you think you've launched, how big do you think your product or your service is?
Well, it's impossible to tell.
Since its founding, Facebook was an instant hit. It grew and grew and grew. It has connected more people than any other entity in the history of the world. With over 2.8 billion users, Facebook became the largest global network on the internet. It's created millions of businesses and added billions to the world economy. But behind the economic power of Facebook, the social power of the platform and its own ethos are under the scope. Zuckerberg's vision of connecting the world has come under heavy scrutiny in recent years.
We face a number of important issues around privacy, safety, and democracy. And you will rightfully have some hard questions for me to answer.
Facebook has been engulfed in a series of controversies, from the spread of hate speech to furthering political polarization and recurrent privacy breaches, and even an addictive and divisive algorithm. So, has Facebook gone too far? Or does the convenience and connectivity it grants us surpass its shortcomings? We all remember the first few years of Facebook, when the platform was more about connecting with friends and family and maybe playing a few popular games. In its early years, Facebook was primarily populated by young people from around the world, and soon it became a platform for voices in need and rallying support for causes that mattered to them. At the end of 2010, Facebook played an important role in the dissemination of information, and users turned to it to organize protests against autocratic leaders throughout the Arab world. Governments scrambled to control the new social media giant, but despite many attempts, they could never effectively censor the platform. Young people were able to share videos of protests and organize online events that called for more protests and demonstrations. This is how Egyptian activist Wael Ghanem described the role Facebook played in toppling the Egyptian president back in 2011.
First Tunisia, now Egypt. What's next?
Ask Facebook.
Ask what?
Facebook.
Facebook. You're giving Facebook a lot of credit for this.
Yeah, for sure. I want to meet Mark Zuckerberg one day and thank him, actually.
But soon, Facebook also became a tool in the spread of misinformation, hate speech, and even ethnic tension that led to violence, as was seen in Myanmar in 2017. Myanmar's military personnel were primary operatives behind a campaign on Facebook that systematically targeted the country's Muslim minority with a flood of propaganda that, according to human rights groups, incited murder and even rape. The hate speech fueled violence and led to one of the largest human exoduses in recent history. Later on, Facebook confirmed details about the military-driven campaign on its platform, admitting it had been slow to act, but that it made efforts to take down accounts associated with the spread of the violence. But the damage was already done. So, can Facebook be held liable for allowing such damaging content to be published on its platform? Well, legally speaking, no. In 1996, Congress passed the Communications Decency Act, which fueled the rise of the modern internet and, eventually, tech giants like Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Section 230 allowed these companies to largely regulate themselves, shielding them from liability for much of the content their users posted on their platforms and granting companies legal immunity, in good faith, when they made efforts to remove content that violated their policies. It says that an interactive computer service can't be treated as the publisher or speaker of third-party content. So, in short, individual users can be sued for content they post, but generally speaking, the platforms themselves can't be sued unless they intentionally abetted criminal activity, such as sex trafficking. In 2005, a year after Facebook's launch, the platform's user base expanded to thousands of high schoolers and university students. Back then, Zuckerberg gave a lecture at Harvard University about the success of his platform and his business model. His statements can explain why, years later, Facebook faced a series of scandals.
And a lot of times people are just too careful too. I mean, it's I think it's more useful to make things happen and then apologize later than it is to make sure that you dot all your I's now and then just not get stuff done.
Facebook indeed made things happen beyond expectation. The exponential growth of the company made its founder one of the richest men in the world. The company contributed to a new age of the internet and connected our world like never before. But Facebook's business model and overwhelming success has come at a price.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Facebook company mantras have always been about embarking on new challenges, as can be seen from these posters adorning its company grounds. But today, Facebook's famous motto, "Move fast and break things," seems to be under question. Has it broken too much?
A stunning investigation in the New York Times details just how Facebook shared your private information with more than 150 other companies.
Thanks to Facebook's targeting tools, the Russians were able to deliver phony information to specific groups.
During the 2016 US presidential elections, Facebook had been accused of allowing fake Russian accounts to purchase hundreds of thousands of dollars in paid ads to spread propaganda with the aim of influencing the election results. Facebook has been regularly accused of questionable data harvesting. One of the most notable controversies occurred in 2018 when the New York Times, along with The Guardian, reported that Cambridge Analytica, a political data firm, and its British counterpart SCL, had harvested the data of 50 million Facebook users through an app called This Is Your Digital Life, which offered personality quizzes on Facebook. Cambridge Analytica was hired by Donald Trump's presidential campaign in 2016, and Facebook later admitted that the company in question harvested data from 87 million users, mainly in the United States. And all of that landed Zuckerberg in front of Congress.
Was your data included in the data sold to the malicious third parties? Your personal data?
Yes.
It was. Are you willing to change your business model in the interest of protecting individual privacy?
Congresswoman, we have made and are continuing to make changes to reduce the amount of
No,
data.
are you willing to change your business model in the interest of protecting individual privacy?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure what that means.
Although Zuckerberg claimed he wasn't sure what the Congresswoman was referring to, it wasn't the first nor the last time Facebook's business model was under fire for enabling serious data and privacy breaches. According to a Pew Research study in 2021, Facebook stands out as a regular source of news for about a third of all Americans, and the power of Facebook as a publisher is significant in both its accessibility and the abundance of data and information it provides to citizens of the world. And the platform has been swamped with fake profiles. In 2019, Facebook declared it removed 3.2 billion fake accounts. But having a human directory and data on billions of people could and has led to harm. Terrorist organizations, such as Daesh, have used the platform to recruit members, according to reports from the UN. Hyperpartisan content on Facebook pages have also been accused of spreading violence and division. In India and the US, content shared on Facebook helped fuel political violence that spread into the streets. Facebook's algorithm is designed to feed users content that they find most engaging, and has drawn criticism for its role in creating echo chambers that appeal to people's emotions of fear and anger instead of harnessing debate and nuanced conversation.
At a moment of rampant disinformation and conspiracy theories juiced by algorithms, we can no longer turn a blind eye to a theory of technology that says all engagement is good engagement, the longer the better, and all with the goal of collecting as much data as possible.
So, is Facebook furthering our division, or is it just a tool that reflects the best and worst of society?